few days ago, this plant looked tired. The leaves were pale. The growth had slowed down. It almost felt stuck in place. But today, the same plant looks fuller, greener, and quietly stronger. And the surprising part is this. Nothing new was added from a store. No fertilizer, no special product. Many people believe that faster growth always comes from adding more fertilizer. It sounds logical, but over time something different becomes clear. In many home gardens, plants often respond better to simple, everyday habits than to packaged solutions. If this feels confusing, that's very common. You're not doing anything wrong. Most gardeners follow what they've been told for years. In this video, we'll gently explore a few simple kitchen-based habits that can support plant growth in a natural way, not by forcing the plant, but by helping it do what it already wants to do. Before explaining why this happened, it helps to understand what plants really need. When a plant slows down, it's easy to assume it needs more nutrients. But growth is not only about feeding, it is also about balance. The soil already contains life. There are tiny organisms breaking things down. There is moisture moving through the roots. There is airspace that allows roots to breathe. When we add fertilizer too often, we sometimes interrupt this quiet balance. The soil becomes too rich too quickly. Roots can become overwhelmed. Instead of steady growth, the plant may react with stress. Healthy growth usually comes from a stable environment, soft, breathable soil, and a slow, steady supply of nutrients. This is why simple kitchen habits can sometimes work so well. They do not rush the process. They support it quietly. One of the easiest examples is something many people throw away without thinking. A banana peel. When a banana peel is placed into the soil, it does not act like a fast fertilizer. It does not release everything at once. Instead, it breaks down slowly. Over time, it adds small amounts of nutrients back into the soil. This slow release is often easier for the plant to handle. Roots take what they need when they need it. There is no sudden change. It also helps improve the soil itself. As the peel breaks down, it feeds the tiny organisms living in the soil. These organisms, in turn, help make nutrients available to the plant, so instead of forcing growth, the plant is supported in a steady way. You may not see a change overnight, but after some time, leaves often begin to look healthier. Growth becomes more consistent. In a similar way, something as simple as used tea leaves or coffee grounds can also support the soil. After making tea or coffee, the leftover material is often discarded. But these small remains can improve the texture of the soil. They help it stay soft. They allow air to move more easily around the roots. When roots can breathe, they function better. They absorb water more effectively, take in nutrients more smoothly. But here, it helps to be gentle. Now, too much of these materials can make the soil too heavy or slightly acidic. A small amount mixed lightly into the soil is usually enough. This is a quiet shift in thinking. Instead of adding strong inputs, we improve the environment where the roots live. Another simple kitchen item works in a similar slow and steady way. Eggshells. Eggshells are often seen as waste, but they contain calcium. This is not something the plant uses quickly. It is something the plant uses over time. When crushed into small pieces and added to the soil, eggshells break down slowly. As they do, they release calcium bit by bit. Calcium helps support the structure of the plant, contributes to stronger stems and healthier growth over time. It does not create a sudden burst of growth. Instead, it helps prevent weakness before it appears. This is where patience becomes important. Not every change needs to be fast to be meaningful. Sometimes the most helpful support is the one we barely notice at first. Then there is something even simpler, something that looks almost like plain water. Rice water. After rinsing rice, the water often turns slightly cloudy. Many people pour it away. But this water carries small particles that can support life in the soil. When used gently on plants, rice water can encourage beneficial microbes. These tiny organisms help break down nutrients in the soil. They make it easier for roots to absorb what is already there. This is often where people notice a small but clear change. Leaves may begin to look a little brighter. Growth may feel a bit more active. It's not suddenly, but noticeably over time. It becomes a quiet discovery. Something very simple creates a visible difference. And once this is noticed, it changes how we think about feeding plants. It becomes less about adding strong products and more about supporting natural processes. In the same spirit, vegetable scraps can also return value to the soil. Small pieces of onion skin, vegetable ends, or peels can be used in simple ways. When placed into compost or buried lightly in soil, they begin to break down. Over time, they return nutrients back into the earth. Nothing is wasted. The cycle continues. This creates a sense of balance. What comes from the soil eventually goes back to it. The plant is not just receiving, it is part of a system that supports itself. But it is also important to remember that not every garden behaves the same way. Climate plays a quiet but important role. In warmer areas, materials may break down faster. This means nutrients become available more quickly in cooler places. The same process may take longer. The soil may stay damp for longer periods. Microbial activity may slow down. Sunlight also changes how plants respond. A plant in full sun may use nutrients faster than one in shade. Soil type matters as well. Some soils hold moisture longer, others drain quickly. So if a method works quickly in one garden, it may take more time in another. This is not a mistake. It is simply the nature of growing in different environments. Understanding this helps remove frustration. It allows us to observe instead of compare. There is also one common misunderstanding that many gardeners share. It comes from a good place. It's a desire to help the plant grow better. Sometimes, in trying to help, we do too much. We add several things. At once, we change watering. We adjust the soil. We introduce new materials. All at the same time, this can make it harder to understand what the plant actually needs. It can also create stress for the plant. Plants respond well to consistency. Small, gentle changes give clearer results. They allow the plant to adjust slowly. This is where a simple idea becomes very powerful. Less effort can often lead to better outcomes. Instead of doing more, we begin to observe more. We notice the color of the leaves, the speed of growth, the way the soil feels. These small observations guide us more than any fixed routine. If you're comfortable sharing, I'm curious how you usually care for your plants. Do you tend to add things often, or do you prefer to keep it simple? There is no single right way, but sometimes a quieter approach reveals more. In the end, plants are already trying to grow. They are designed to respond to their environment. They do not need constant correction. They need gentle support. A small banana peel, a bit of rice, water, a handful of crushed eggshells. These are not powerful on their own, but together they create a steady and natural system. And when we step back, something interesting happens. The garden begins to feel less like a task and more like a rhythm. Growth becomes easier to notice. Changes become easier to understand. Sometimes, the garden improves when we simply step back and observe. Do less, get more.